Lights up bright, dope, Campbell Stadium is alive. Seminoles rise and fight to survive. Helmet gleam under that blazing sun. Florida State, where champions run. Seminole sideline 365. Feel the roar, we're coming alive. Garnet and gold in the battle we thrive. This is our house where legends arrive. Turf torn up under Seminole feet. The war chant pounds to the heart's own beat. Chop through the noise like a storm in the sky. 2025, we reach for the high. Seminole sideline 365.
Welcome to the post-game reaction show. There's still 51 seconds left in the game, but Florida just scored to basically cap off the night. In the game, I mean, has been over for the last 8 or so minutes, I would say. But we are here after the game. Please join us. Bring your comments, your thoughts. I don't want to be here too long. Once again, I've wasted another 3.5 hours of my life this season, but mercifully, it is over. The season is over. There will be no bowl game for Florida State, thanks to Mike Norvell and the roster and the staff he's built. So Seminoles fans, you won't have to waste a December night on Florida State. So I guess there is some solace in that. And we won't have to, watch some no-name bowl. That doesn't matter. On the flip side of that, since you are retaining your coach and Mike Norvell is back, he won't have additional time to evaluate the team, practice, stuff like that. So he misses out on a giant, enormous opportunity in securing that bowl. So that's 2 straight years without a bowl, 2 straight years without 6 wins, and a disturbing trend. But once again, he is back, and we have to deal with that fact. Obviously we're just dealing with the stats that are in front of us for this game. And that's what we're going to be talking about, giving our gut reaction, not going into too deep in metrics and stuff like that. But, just to piggyback off of the first thing I said in the preview show, or one of the key points I said in the preview show was the big guy you have to stop in this game is Jaden Baugh. And just as predicted, Jaden Baugh was the best player on the field on either side of the football, defense, offense, regardless. As the commentators drive me freaking nuts because they said this is going to be the Jaden Baugh game. Nobody will remember this game in 10 years because it's 5-6-3 ain't Florida. Nobody will remember this game. But Jaden Baugh is a elite player. That he will be remembered wherever he goes. But no one will remember this game because nobody cares about this game because neither team is going anywhere after this game. But that guy, that kid, sophomore, is an elite player. And we talked about him. We said the game plan has to be to stop him early and make DJ beat you with his arm. And no, it didn't happen like that. DJ made the passes he needed to make, but it was also by the run. They were able to run literally at will, video game type running on us tonight. It did feel like a video game because when they wanted to run, when they needed to run, you literally couldn't stop them. When they could call their shot, in Florida State's defense could not get a guy on the ground. That last touchdown basically was the cap on the season. Then you knew they were going to run the ball, and
they just intercepted. Tommy just threw an interception, a Hail Mary into the end zone.
Yeah, and it's over.
And the game is over.
But that last touchdown for Florida, that capped off effort, execution, talent, and everything into one play. And I thought that was a perfect encapsulation of why you lost games this year, why you're not winning 9 games each, with Mike Norvell. And Jaden Baugh is the type of kid you need to get in this type of program. Obviously, he didn't get a lot of 100-yard games, so he's still going to end the year with 1,100 plus yards this year. We talked about the metric 3-0 when he had over 100. He only had 100 yards 3 times this year, 4 times now against Florida State. But those are the types of elite talents you got to get into this Florida State program because you do not have enough of them. And you got beat by one. And it's pretty sad, though, that Tony White and his defense couldn't figure anything out to stop the running game tonight. But that's been a trend this entire season. And I got to put that on the staff, and I got to put it on the linebackers, and I got to put it on the defensive line. You got to be in the trenches on both sides of the football tonight. Sorry, I'll let you speak.
Well, first of all, I have to take a deep sigh, I guess, and I've done a few of those. I actually wasn't very emotionally into this game. Probably one of in my lifetime of watching Florida State football and listening to Florida State football since the mid 60s till now, it was probably the least emotional game I've ever had in a state rivalry series with the Gators in the Noles. I thought, my first thoughts were first half, it was staying competitive. We were, I guess we never led this game at all. And then in the second half, it clearly got away. We got outscored, 23-7 in the second half. I'll mirror a few of your points. I'm glad, I'm glad the season's over. Yes, I would have liked to gone to a bowl game. I think the Noles and Norvell, this is another, it's going to be another one of those things hard for FSU management to tell the fans. This was embarrassing. The Noles were dominated in this game. They were basically dominated, and most of that domination came in the second half. It came in the form of the young player that you mentioned, Jaden Bond. Jaden Bond, number 13, had 38 rushes while we continue to run the football by committee. I think our running backs tend to run on and off the sideline more than they run north and south. Okay. We use 6, again, probably every running back in the room to carry the ball at least one time, if not more. You might have the number to see who was our leading ball carrier. Was
Cromall
it Cromar?
With five carries. Yep.
Who?
Cromall with 5 carries.
5 carries is our leading ball carrier.
And, no, our leading ball carrier was Castellanos with 19 carries.
Okay, well, besides the quarterback who was running for his life most of the game, okay, in jailbreaks.
But it was a lot of those were designed because you couldn't get the real running game going. You couldn't get because they couldn't block it. They couldn't block
that's what I mean. They couldn't block it. But Jaden Bond, it doesn't look like a superhero to me. He's not wearing a Superman cape, but he's 38 rushes.
He's a good.
That's NFL right there. I don't know why he'd come back to college unless they offer him so much money, that it would take the place to go into the NFL. He's 38 rushes, 266. And I disagree with you, KB, on something. I believe every Florida State game is remembered.
It's not.
Okay. I remember games going way back. Okay. And I've mentioned it before.
This won't
certain
be
games. FSU fans won't remember this game. Of course.
You know why those games were remembered? Because they meant something. They were playing for something. These teams aren't playing for anything but the toilet. They're both in the toilet playing toilet.
I understand.
That's it. That's why we remember those games. Because they played for something. Back in your day, these teams were good and they were challenging for championships.
I understand that. But living in the state of Florida, okay, you will still hear this from Gator fans.
I'm sure. Now,
we could respond, you suck. You only won 4 games, but they dominated and basically slaughtered us in the swamp today. There's no other way to say it. I'm not gonna say it any other gentle way. Again, Jake Weinberg continues his missing of field goals that were right down. Even the announcer, that was not even close. His head right now for Jake, I don't know. I don't know if he can get it back. He's not going to be able to see the field again to next September. When
the end of the year at 66%, 67% for the year.
That's not going to get it done. So hopefully they have some competition in the room for that, because he was miserable at the end of the year. I think Tommy Castellanos he was okay, but he was running for his life a lot of the times. He put everything out there. I can't imagine he's the quarterback here next season. Eligibility or no eligibility. That experiment is done. That's a 1-year contract. We'll talk about that stuff down the road of who should be retained, who isn't. I was just looking at the overall stats to see if anything big significantly stood out here.
I'll tell you one thing that stood out to me, and I've seen this over the last 3 or 4 games. Lewayne McCoy he's a player. That kid can play.
I agree. I agree.
And we know 3 or 4 games ago, he cost us. He had a bad penalty, but that kid is fiery. He gets open. I got some feedback on your end, but regardless, that guy can play. That guy is young. He gets open.
He's got good hands.
He reminds me of some of the old school receivers we used to have, kind of the Burt Reeds. I don't know. I like the way he just finds a way to get open. He's got good hands. He holds on to the football, and that's a kid you can build around. As a sophomore, you'll be a junior next year. But he started to come on towards, I felt like, the end of the year with his production. And this was his biggest game of the year. He broke 100 yards tonight. And hopefully this is something that could carry into next year, right? There's not many shining stones, shining lights out of this game. But maybe this is the breakout game for him. Maybe this is where he put it all together. Because once again, we couldn't find the complement to Deuce Robinson in this entire year. We thought it was going to be Mackay. He kind of trailed off towards the end of the year for some reason. Tommy's not a true passer. And I do think you hit it. Tommy, even if he gets that waiver, I don't think he should be back next year. Honestly, it sounds like, and I'm not sure Gus should be back next year. I would love to see us go back to having a real quarterback in this who can actually deliver the ball, because you could never play from behind with this offense. This offense wasn't built to come from behind, because if the running game was shut down, Tommy couldn't throw you back into the game, because a lot of his throws, honestly, were either he couldn't. So many of our receivers, it felt like, we're beating a guy at DB, but it was always underthrown. And that's where you would see Deuce Robinson make an incredible catch, and it was kind of underthrown. It would look like a back shoulder, but it was just underthrown. And when you need to come back, and when you need to come back into a game, when you need to spread it, go deep or underneath, Tommy's not able to see the field quick enough, and he's not confident in the pocket to deliver those footballs.
His height hurts him as a quarterback. There's no doubt about that.
But just his play style. He's not built to that's not him as a player. He defaults to his legs, especially when he's been using his legs 19 times in this game. He gets happy feet, and he defaults to that run when he gets into that mode. And so I'm not hating on him as a player. Like, I've praised him all year with his heart and his hustle, but I think it did hurt you in games like this when you had to play from behind, when you needed to pass, when they shut down the run so early against you, because you did not get the run game going. Your offensive line got their butts whipped in the run blocking game tonight, and it hurt you. But Tommy's legs did keep you in it, because it gave you some semblance of a balance. But when you got down 10 plus, you weren't able to pass your way back into this game. But Lewayne McCoy, to go back to that point, I do think that's a kid you should try to keep, because I think he could be a dynamic playmaker for you, especially if you're going to lose Deuce Robinson.
Probably one of the best rush plays we had was the tush push into the end zone, right? Yeah. When who was it? The former Gator lineman, who was it?
Richie Leonard took
Richie Leonard
Dancy,
came up and banged. Dancy into the end zone. That was probably one of our most effective rushing plays. There's got to be a little humor in this at some point. Again, total yards, we had 400 and looks like 407 to the Gators 440. Again, we didn't have complimentary football for most of the game. Tony Elliott, as you said, Tony White. Tony White could not find a stop. The defensive line with pork chop or pot roast. They couldn't get it done up front. I don't think Lagway was under that much pressure most of the night. When he made some key passes as well. I thought there was some. What was that play? We were on our own 40 and we went for it and didn't get it.
Fourth and 2, 4th and 1, and
it was like 3rd and 1 and we didn't get it, and then it was 4th and 1 and we didn't get it.
But those are the examples too of, and that's been a trend.
It was only 17-14 at that point.
No, and true.
I probably would have punted that ball.
And there's been a couple of those this season. And there's been a couple of those where he's gone for it risky around the 50.
On your own territory.
And many of those, I feel like this year have not gone our way. And and I think it's a big reason why you've struggled in the red zone too, is because you can't run and get those yards. You can't run behind this offensive line and get that 1 or 2 yards. You have to do this tricky QB keeper where the 5'11" guy keeps it and tries to get 2 yards behind a stacked defensive line, or you have to do this rollout. You can't just get behind. Unlike every other team we play who just gets behind their offensive line and runs it, we are not able to do that. And I know Herb Hand's playing with a rebuild offensive line, but this is why we're in this hole we're in with Mike Gravel's, because we've done so poorly at recruiting the offensive line. When you need 4th and 1 or 4th and 2, or you're in the red zone, and what you should do is get behind your trenches and run behind them straight, vertical, north and south. You can't do it. You have the inability to trust your offensive line to push forward, get off their line, and get 5 yards. You can't do that. And especially now when you're rotating these running backs, and it makes no sense. Even Gus Malzahn's come out and say this is the first year he's not had a lead back where he just goes with one.
I don't get that.
I don't know what that speaks to. I don't know if that speaks to he can't trust a running back.
Yeah.
No, Gus said that. Gus said that himself.
Okay. I don't get it. I don't get this bullshit of 5 or 6 running backs. They keep looking to the sideline. I don't like that type of football, And
it's not like these guys are that different. It's not like you have some superstar that you're going to roll in for a package or something. These guys, other than Jalen Lucas, he's the small, speedy guy. I mean, Sawchuk's. They're different, but they're not that different. They're not
that different. If you're trying to get in certain sizes. But how many times do we see the running back, when the play is done, starting to huddle a little bit, they're all looking over to the sideline like, am I in? Am I coming out in? What? It's so much interchanging of parts. I think it's confusing as shit. I can't even imagine what it is on the sideline. And they got caught on the defensive end doing that as well on that penalty. When they had too many men on the field, 12 people. But the thing with the running backs is, I'm sick of hearing about, well, it's all situational football. And, you got to have 6 running backs in the game for situational football. Well, the Gators just beat your ass. I hate to say those words. The Gators just beat your ass with 1 running back who is in the game to the final seconds. I even questioned that, to be honest. I said, why are you leaving this kid, this star, a national star, in the game where he could blow out a knee on a stupid play and the game is over? Okay. Yeah. I thought that was very disrespectful for him. Their interim coach there, whatever his name is, should have had another guy go in, let him come out to a standing ovation. That would have meant more than that last touchdown that he scored. And he didn't risk injury then. I thought it was stupid. I thought it was disrespectful to the player himself. And he was the star.
Back to our running backs. You saw the guy that had the longest run of the night was Sam Singleton. I don't think he got another touch outside of that 21-yard run. He had 2 carries tonight, one of them being the 21-yard run, which was a great run by him. He broke the tackle, broke out to the left, 21 yards.
We were in the right situation, KB. You don't understand.
I really don't understand it. And
it's not even funny. It's not even funny for me to get. I just don't. I don't get it. I've never seen a football team do this.
Gus doesn't do it, though. That's the thing. He doesn't do it normally, and that's the thing. And no, I think he should be gone. I think you should try to retain Herb Hand, because I do think he.
I thought he did as best as he could. I thought he did best as he could.
But I think this gimmicky bullshit needs to go, and I think I prefer to go back to a more conventional spread. Bring in the quarterback that
go back to an NFL style offense. Period. That's what you need to do. Yes, you have to style your offense according to the people you have, but you're trying to go out and get the people you need for the style you want to run. Okay? That's really the key. But this thing, running the football by committee and nobody gets more than 5 carries. If I was a running back in that room, would you stay?
No, and
If I
that's the
could
thing.
leave,
It's not
I'd
like
go.
it's not like you're satisfying all the running backs by saying you're going to get touches. No, I think like you said, you're actually hurting your case of keeping them because no one wants to split carries among 6 guys. That's even worse than
That's
just giving them to 2.
ridiculous.
That's even worse
Ridiculous.
because then you're blowing guys red
Yeah.
shirts.
And
You blew
unfortunately,
Chroma's red shirt for him to get 5
yeah,
carries a game. What's the point of that?
unfortunately,
What's the point of that?
unfortunately, that when the pressures come up, they will not ask the question, or if they do, they soft toe the question to Gus. He gives some bullshit answer, and there's no follow up. There's no follow up, and it makes no sense because his answer, well, is the game's very situational. Too situational, Gus. Too situational, Mike. It makes no sense. And you got to go out and get some big ass running back who can get 1 yard or 3 yards. Okay. Just like, and do it right up the middle. We're not a physical football
Or
team.
you
That's
get a
why
situational quarterback, a big quarterback from one of these D1 or FCS or D2, bigger quarterback who's 6'5" that can run behind you, or situationally like NC State did against us a couple of games ago. They just brought
yeah,
that big quarterback in for 4th and 1, and he got every single time.
when you're situational, it's a sign of, I mean, when you're these tricky plays and all this other stuff, it's a sign of weakness and a lack of physicality, meaning you cannot
Not
move
always.
people off the ball, in my opinion. Um,
Not always.
so, I mean, this was a very disappointing game for Noles fans. I don't know how many made the trip to Gainesville, but it was not pretty. And I feel bad for those fans who went down there and saw this. I thought Mike Norvell didn't do much. It was the same things. He gives his huddles and gives his motivational speak. One time there was a critical timeout. He gathered everybody together to give him the speech. It's like you got to use that to get your plays together. The hell with the motivation at this point. But it's sad. It's a very sad day for this program. It has hit rock bottom. And it's already been announced he's staying. That was announced last week prior to this game. And they hoped, I think, the FSU management hoped to get by, win this game, get a Pop-Tart bowl, and move forward. Well, now I think it's going to be very difficult to hold players, to retain players, and to recruit players at this point, because if you're a player or a player rep and a parents and you're a 4-star, I don't think there's any 5-stars in the mix.
No.
Is what could they say to make you feel better of what we have? Because right now, if this doesn't, he could go 3 games into the next season and be fired after, they play Alabama like 2nd or 3rd game in Tuscaloosa. So there's no assurance that Mike Norvell will finish 2026. Most fans are bet that he will not finish 2026. But it looks like now it's clear, as you've said before, who would we bring in? And the other option is, do we have the money really? Which is a legitimate question. We can't keep saying that the big wigs throughout Florida or even Tallahassee are going to keep writing checks. There's an end to the checkbook. There's always the last one sometimes. But I think Castellanos, he, as a 1-year rental, came in, played the best he could behind what he was given. And then, if in the future, we'll have a show or a few shows. Who do we need to keep? You mentioned one today, McCoy. I think Deuce Robinson will go. Why would he come back to this mess? Why would he come back to this mess? A guy like McCoy, who did show up the last few games, he may enter the portal. He could see, why would he come back to a mess he doesn't know? There's nothing that says he can't go into the portal because they'd welcome him back like they did the Biscuit, who did shit. He didn't do nothing, really. I don't even, see much of him, the tight end. But I don't know how many of the running backs will. Well, hopefully we can keep Singleton, but that's another show. That's another day. This game, we got to go out and find a kicker. We got to have some kicker competition. Jake, I think Jake's got the gips the yips as they say in his head. He can't put it through the crossbar anymore. He's lost that charm. We're going to have to rebuild this entire football team. We're going to have to rebuild. And that tackling at the end when Bond ran it in for the final touchdown, that was just horrific tackling. Horrific tackling. It's going to be a major remodel, and nothing's been announced. There's been no changes in the off-field stuff yet. Nothing. We're going to bring in a NFL GM type. That doesn't turn one season. But an above average coach should be able to win 6 games in this ACC. You should be able to win a minimum of 6 games. I said that in the preseason, that we would win a minimum of 6 games, and we couldn't do it. 5-7. 5-7 is how the final record for 2025 goes down. Mike Norvell, I've said it 100 times, is not the future face of this football team. It's a matter of time of how long it takes to get Mike out of here. And it's a matter of money.
There you go. Yeah,
and I don't see I'm going through a bunch of notes I took during the game. I mean, the game was about Jaden Ball. That was the ball game right there. 266, 38 carries, could not stop him. And that opened up the play action passing, which they did on those little short passes going into the end zone. It was very effective. I give the interim coach at Florida all the credit. He kept the team together in a big state rivalry game. And whether or not he's ever a head coach, he will remember this game. He will remember it. And congratulations to him. I'm not a Gator fan. I don't hug the Gators. My grandson goes to the University of Florida, and I know he watched the game. And congratulations to him. But this is a total destruction of our program once again. And we keep hearing, even one of the announcers said it, which I almost had to turn it off. He goes, that's the same thing Mike Norvell keeps saying. We're close, and, we're going to get there. He's been saying that for 6 seasons. Look at his record now. His overall record is, without that 13-0 season, is horrendous. But, he won 13 games. He won the ACC championship that year, and they subbed for the playoffs. But we got to get out of that mindset. We got to lose that mindset. That time is over with. Jordan Travis is no longer here, and we got to move on. And the best thing for this program is to burn all of that and move on. They've got a lot of work to do starting tomorrow. A lot of work. So I don't know what else there is to say. I'm deflated. I'm not angry. I'm just deflated. I'm just deflated. Let's see a couple of fan comments here. Here's Chris. I'm glad the season is over. This year was more disappointing than last year. Fool's gold next year. We do not need a hype train. Well, okay, let's talk about that for a minute. Hype train. I think he means by certain FSU media, sports information coming out of official Seminoles.com. The coaching staff, Mike said they had a great week of practice this week. And if you look at the guys who started tonight, KB, I went back and looked at one of our old shows when we put up who started against Alabama. It's basically the same. Almost the same this guys.
Pretty healthy for most of the
kids. The guys, we can't say there was a bunch of injuries. We can't really say that. The guys who beat the hell out of Alabama got the hell beat out of them today on the last game of the season.
And that's where it comes down to what happened. Coaching? Is it coaching? Is it game planning? Is it effort? Is it all of them?
Is it the quality of the players too? You have to.
It's not because you beat Alabama. You can't just say, well, that was a mistake. That didn't happen. That did happen. No, that did happen. You can't just say, no, that was a fluke. You did that. You dominated Alabama in game 1. That actually happened. We watched it happen. We watched that team out physical Alabama from start to finish. We watched that happen. What happened between then
What
and
happens?
UVA? What happened between those two games? Because all the
problem-
talent was on the field. All the talent was on the field there
I know
for both
the
teams.
problem is that it's just like no one will remember this game, as you said. How many people are going to remember the Alabama game? We beat Alabama and then we lost every other game, basically.
But I'm just talking about this season. I'm just talking about. I'm not talking
no.
about 10 years from now. I'm talking about this
But
season.
what I'm saying
talking about
is-
what happened from that point on with the talent or the game plan or the execution or the effort. Because Alabama right now is looking like one of the best teams in the country, and you have not been able to replicate that effort, that execution from that game forward.
Maybe I miscommunicate when you and I argue back and forth on this matter. That I think a lot of the players on this team have hit their ceiling. Okay, in
Jesus
terms
Christ.
of talent
got
at
it.
this point, and as you say, you mix in coaching and stuff like that to
You
get
only gave up
something more out of a
17
player.
points against Alabama. You gave up 40 against Florida.
I get it.
Florida hasn't scored 40 points the entire year or even close to it. That's not a talent issue. That's either an effort, execution, or game plan issue. That's not a talent issue.
Maybe Alabama wasn't prepared. Maybe
Great.
they weren't.
But give me a 40 to Florida. That's not a talent issue.
They've won every game since.
Exactly. Great. But that tells me if we can
since.
hold them to 17 and dominate them on the field, means that we have enough talent to do that against them, that we shouldn't give up 40 points to Florida. That's what I'm saying. That's not a talent thing. Now, there is Jaden Baugh, like I said, is the best player on either side of the field. He's probably one of the best players in the SEC. But
he's one of the best players in the country.
Yes. But for you not to be able to stop him in any phase is incredible. That is a poor game plan, and that is a poor execution. That's not shifting what you do defensively to be able to stop a player like that. Because that, like I said, like a video game.
It matters, KB. It matters if our player, if one of our defensive tackles, if let's say Darrell Jackson Jr. gets moved out of the way because he doesn't have the ability to disrupt the play and stay in the hole, that's a quality issue. Maybe he's just. I don't see Darrell as a top pick in the NFL. I just don't see that. Okay, but what I'm saying is, I believe that players have a ceiling.
I get it. You keep saying it. I get it. They have a ceiling. But you had enough ceiling this year to win 6 games. You had enough ceiling this year to win 7 games. UVA doesn't have a better roster than us, and they have 8 or 9. They're competing for an ACC title.
Okay, I understand.
So don't give me the ceiling discussion. We have enough ceiling to win 8, 9 games this year.
God.
That's what I hate that argument. That's why I hate this argument about ceiling. It doesn't. It's stupid.
I don't know. I just sometimes don't think you understand what I'm saying.
Yes, I do. I get it. We don't have Cam Akers in our backfield. I get it. We don't have Deuce Robinson, 4 Deuce Robinsons. I get it. We don't have Jameis Winston at quarterback. I understand that. But there is enough people on this roster for you to compete for the ACC. The ACC isn't littered with Jameis Winston as that quarterback for every team.
Okay,
this is a very competitive
you see it as a complex formula of errors between coaching and players.
Yes,
everybody's accountable.
The talent composite for Florida State was one of the top in the ACC. It said we had the talent on this roster based on transfer and recruiting. You just aren't executing on that roster competition.
Yeah, okay.
That was it.
It's just like when Jaden Baugh came through the line and ran over Earl Little Jr. Okay, that could be a fluke play. Is Earl Little Jr. better than that? I think he probably is, but he got run over by that running back. That's probably should not happen for safety. The safety should have nailed him.
No,
okay, okay. So maybe what I'm saying is, Earl Little Jr. It may not be, like the announcers. The announcers get a script and they read off it. Oh, he's going to be playing on Sunday. Christ, if you listen to the announcers, every one of these guys is going to be playing on Sunday, right? I'm just saying, I think the quality of we need to increase the quality of our players by next year. We just need to do that, and we need to get the quality of coaches up too. I'll agree with you. I agree with you. So it's very difficult to tell. Even Mike Norvell can't. He even said, I don't have the answer. I don't know. I don't know. I've heard him say in the presser, I don't know what the answer is. I don't think Mike Norvell doesn't try. I think he probably tries his ass off. I think he works real hard. I think he's an enthusiastic guy, but somehow it's not coming together. And as they say, it's better to have excellent players than excellent coaches. That's an old saying.
Yeah, well, some teams that have excellent players don't win games either. So you need both. You really do need both, but it helps to have excellent players.
All right, let's take what Mike says. Anything FSU needs to start with new administration, head coach. Mike has been given everything and more. He has been worse than Taggart 2 or 3 times over here easily. There's going to be a lot of venting by fans during the offseason. There'll be a lot of monitoring of what's going on, who's coming, who's going. I think a lot of people find Mike Norvell not very transparent. He guards his word. A lot of people say it about his communication skills in pressers, and they also, everybody says that he is not that the best recruiter of high school talent. Well, I think a lot of that his communication style. I don't think people see the sincerity of what he's saying. And let's remember in the old days before NIL, it was all high school recruiting. Before there was a portal, before there was NIL, coaches had to really go out and beat the bushes. And Bobby Bowden, there was no one better than him to go out and bring in key talent. And he had great coaches like Mickey Andrews and others who were able to train these guys up to a standard, or they just didn't play. And Mike keeps talking about we haven't met the standard. Well, then, and he keeps taking accountability for not getting people trained up in the right positions. It's a lot of excuse making. The bottom line is the last couple of games, this season, they just have not performed. So we can blame that on anybody. Usually you start firing people at the top. They didn't meet the expectations.
They didn't fire the person at the top. So Mike Norvell's back. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I would expect more of the same next year, unless Alford's not willing to. He's already kind of indicated that they're going to abide by what they infer is the salary cap of 20 million roster, and so yeah, they're going to be financially strict. I wouldn't expect this roster to be overhauled, in terms of talent crazily. I think they're going to.
Well, if they don't, they're going to have real problems. They're going to have to go out. They're going to have to go out and get a quarterback.
Well, they'll go get a quarterback, I assume, but I wouldn't expect them to be grabbing the #1 players from teams because they're not willing to spend. That's just my feeling, and that's what I think the feeling is of the fan base and what they're hearing from Alford, and they're going to very much adhere what they infer as a salary cap. And some teams I think are going to push the boundaries and are going to spend more. So that's where it seems like Florida State's at, and yeah, it will be tough to recruit players to come. And I think they may have to take the approach of looking at JUCOs and looking at JUCO players who are looking for a chance.
Supposedly they're already doing that.
Well, I would assume they are. And then potentially, who are some up and comers from FCS and guys like that who are looking for a shot, who are high performers there, looking to get to the next level, who are competitive. So, for them to be competitive next year, they're going to have to at the high level find some great evaluators, but bring some new evaluators into this, like get Y-Ray out, get Tokars out, get those assistants,
special teams.
Special teams was horrible.
It was horrible tonight.
Squirrel White had no clue what he was doing on the field.
That could have been a disaster on that one.
In
fact, a couple of FSU players thought he had touched the ball. That's how bad it was. He came running back past him. That was weird.
That guy was no clue what he's doing.
Squirrel White, had not a productive season,
which is sad for him because that was his last year. That was a money year for him, and did nothing this year. So that's unfortunate. But yeah, they need to bring in guys elite. If I could spend money on an assistant, I would find the best evaluator of talent that money could buy for this football team. If I was Mike Norvell, I would insert him. I would say, go look at FCS tape, go look at JUCO tape, because we know we're not going to get the best players at the FBS level unless they're at a power, a G5, whatever. But look at G5 tape, FCS tape. I want you to go find the guys with the highest available upside for us, and let's bring them in.
But you're saying that because you believe that we're not going to put out a lot of money. That's why you're saying to look at those type guys.
One, you're not going to win the bidding wars.
P4.
You're not going to win the bidding wars for those guys. You may win one, but you can't afford to spend 50% of your budget on a quarterback or 75. You got to be. You need to overhaul your entire offensive line. You need to overhaul, your quarterback. You need to overhaul your receiver group potentially, defensive linebackers especially. You need a lot of places you need to upgrade. And if you're adhering to that cap strictly, and you're going to retain a few guys, you need to make some hard evaluations that you need to find guys with the highest possible upside. And it's not going to be at power 4, because those guys are going to want money if they performed, and you're going to get in a bidding war with other schools for those. You can't afford that.
I think it's going to be very hard to bring in a power 4 guy despite the money you might offer them, because they'd be coming into a total unknown mess. Okay,
that doesn't matter. The NFL doesn't care if you play on a team that's 2-10, as long as you can get on the field and perform. No, I don't think they.
If you don't have the right pieces, the player can't perform.
Deuce Robinson just had 1,100 yards.
Okay,
in 5-7 team. That's his NFL. That's his NFL ticket. Great, that you can still perform on a bad team, but you got to do your job.
Well, we didn't have a running back that did shit. So those guys didn't get to perform because the offensive line couldn't move anybody out. So
you're in a gimmicky offense that rotated 6 guys. No one could have imagined he was going to rotate 6 running backs the entire year. That's on Gus Malzahn. So I hope he had conferred that to the running back group. If not, I'd be kind of pissed. But no, that's on Gus. They could have managed that better. So I think it will be tough to potentially, if Gus is back. I don't know how you sell the running back room, because nobody wants to have 4 carries a game. But I do think if I'm Mike Norvell, I am finding not whoever I trust, but I'm finding who is the best evaluator of football talent I can get, bringing them in, firing a couple of assistants to get that money if I need to. And I'm saying go and find me some dudes who can play football at FCS, at a group of 5, wherever they are. We need these guys, and hopefully we can get them for below or around market value, if not below, and save some money, and then go invest maybe at quarterback, wherever you can, at some key positions where you want to invest higher. Quarterback, but it depends. Is Gus back? Is he not? Because that's gonna also fluctuate how you dictate what kind of offense you're playing and stuff like that. So that he needs to make decisions on, is Gus coming back? What's Tony White's? Are you still running a 3-3-5? I'm assuming you will be bringing players in for that, the type of linebackers you need.
What would you do with Tony White after tonight's performance?
Once again, you're running 2 gimmicky things. You're running a gimmicky offense and sort of this gimmicky, not gimmicky, but unorthodox 3-3-5 defense. It's tough because I don't think he really had the personnel to really run it effectively the entire year. We don't have the linebacking talent in terms of to run a effective 3-3-5. And where does a 3-3-5 vulnerable is to the run, right? Because you only have 3 guys on the line. The linebackers have to fill the gaps, effectively to make the tackles, right? They have to come up and defense back, stuff like that. So I put some of it on Tony White for not adjusting, but I put a lot of it on the roster he inherited, right? It's not like he'd go in the offseason and fill it all with the right guys. I think it would take a cycle or 2 to really recruit high school, recruit portal, and build a defense around the 3-3-5. Now, did James Williams have a fantastic year? No. Did, Stephon Thompson, the guy linebacker, his fault? No. So the guys he brought in didn't play great. So some of it is on him.
And even
now,
with Darrell Jackson Jr. in the middle, we
correct.
can stop him. So he's going to be gone.
But the
So
3-3-5, I mean, the defensive line can only do so much. It is up to the guys behind them. It's up to the defensive line to get the initial stop,
Blake
but the guys behind them
Nicholson's
have to
not.
fill the
Yeah,
holes. They have
yeah,
to fill the linebackers have to fill the holes, and defense backs
yeah.
also have to come up when
Blake
they're
can't.
asked to.
Blake can't do that.
So I think missing Rawls did hurt in the back half of the season. He was a physical defensive back who would come up and make plays. But I think obviously I think I'm going to give Tony White another year because you can't afford to buy him out because then that's less money you can invest other places. So hopefully he can find the guys he needs to.
Well, you have to,
execute
you know,
this.
you have to have a certain level of continuity of your coaching
Yeah.
when you're revamping the entire roster. So you don't want to reinvent the whole entire wheel. You're hoping that you can get to 6 wins or 7 wins, you know, potentially more, but that's what we thought this year. What is your feeling? Do you think Gus will go? Do you think they'll have him lose?
I
If
don't
you
think he'll be
look at the
I don't think he'll be here.
statistically, he greatly improved the offensive statistics, except for the inconsistent points. Okay, and which is a big deal. That's the deal. You know,
It's the only stat that
I don't
matters.
know if Mike's going to want to cut him loose, but I think Mike now, given the agreement they're on, I think Mike has given up a lot of authority in terms of final decision making. I don't think it's any longer in his purview to say who stays and who goes. I think this is going to be run by the FSU kind of hierarchy now in terms of a general manager, whoever that may be, and says, and they have to move fast on these things. And over the next couple of weeks of this, they need to get stability. When the boat is rocking and about to tip over or sink, you've got to stabilize it for the people you're trying to put in on this roster.
Yeah, I think he has to go. I think this has been an issue with his offenses, Gus Malzahn's offense. You can go back to UCF. He had one of the highest performing offenses, but the offenses he built in terms they had a lot of yardage, they had stuff like that, but they struggled to score in games. And they struggled in the red zone. And he went 4-8 at UCF, in 2024, and the year before that 6-7. I mean, his offenses can produce yardage, but they do struggle once defenses figure them out, especially in the critical red zone to produce points. So that is I think that's kind of hurt his kind of coaching career, is that people have figured out how to kind of put a lid on the scoring ability of his kind of gimmicky offense. So in my opinion, I think he does need to go, because I think this was a one-time fix just to stabilize the offense and turn it around from a non-existent offense in 2024, which was anemic and literally couldn't move forward, to, you had explosion this year. You had big plays. But it wasn't always pretty. I mean, the yardage was there, but there was a lot of stalled out 3-and-outs. There was no run explosion. None of our running backs ever broke off a big run, like a touchdown run that I can remember. Like, that's the first time in a while, I guess in the last 2 years, that I never saw out. It had to go back to Trey Benson, where he was able to break off big runs in 2023, and just we just were missing that in this offense. Like, you never saw that from the running game. And once again, that's probably back to rotating 6 running backs. But yeah, I think
wish
he needs to
somebody
go.
would really drill down on that, but we don't really have the reporters at the press conferences to drill down. They won't do it. But I wish somebody would really say, we don't understand that. We don't see any other teams in the Power Four doing that. What is the purpose?
He doesn't do it though. You go back to his game. You go back to UCF where he was coaching.
Well, that's what I mean.
RJ Harvey was his primary running back, and he was a beat. He just kept him with the rock, and that he was the primary running back.
Well, that's what we said, that there would be a bell cow, and it never emerged.
It
like
makes no
he's telling
sense.
none of those guys are good enough to be the guy.
That would be my interpretation.
He should say that. He should say that then.
Like, his last running back at UCF last year had 1,500 yards.
Yeah.
One guy, he led him. That was his main guy, RJ Harvey. He was a great running back. 1,500 yards.
Well, that would be the question.
Carries.
If you or I were there, we'd say, so-and-so had 1,500 yards, had how many carries? Why this year did the run, our leading ball carrier against the Gators had 5 carries, and we played 6 running backs? And most of the season, that's what we did. He would have to answer that, and people should drill down on those things.
It must be he didn't feel like he had a bell cow, because the only other year you can look back that I can is 2022, when he kind of had a rotation where he had he had RJ Harvey and Isaiah Bowser. He had two running backs that had 800 yards each. They're kind of a duo there. And maybe that's what he was trying to find this year, is a balance where he did. Yeah, it is interesting because, like you said, it just doesn't feel like they found the. I don't know. Maybe he was trying to figure out which guy could lead, but it was. Yeah, I wish somebody would ask it, because it really.
Well,
really
ultimately,
makes no sense.
KB, Mike Norvell could have pulled him aside mid-season and say, "Hey, Gus, I'm not sure about running 6 guys in and out of this game all the time. I don't think that's. I want you to find the top 2 guys. Those are the guys that are going to carry the ball till they show they cannot do it."
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
But that's Mike's job. That's Mike's job. He's not the offensive coordinator. That's Mike's job to say, "I'm uncomfortable with this. I'm uncomfortable with this guy playing," or "I don't think he's got it. Let's elevate the next guy."
Yeah, I agree with you. And one thing with that too that we never really saw this year, that I think is a little bit unusual, is the running backs never really got involved at the pass game. And I know that's not necessarily.
Well, tonight we saw why, because they can't.
Yeah, Chroma missed.
Oh, he was
I think he's had
open.
I think he's had a couple of those drops this
You
year.
know what that reminded me of, and you may not remember, a lot of the viewers may not. There was a play, and I think it was the game where Florida State was down 31 to the Gators. We came back and tied the game, and that's how it ended, in a tie, I believe. My facts me, but I think it was Warwick Dunn went down the sidelines on a wheel route. He was wide open, caught the ball, and ran like 50, 60 yards for touchdown in full stride. Cromar, if he'd have caught that ball, would have had a huge gain. He dropped it.
Yeah,
and then Sawchuk dropped the ball. It probably wouldn't have gone very far, but he dropped the ball. Yeah, it didn't seem. You need a running back that can catch balls, because that puts more pressure on the linebackers of the opponent.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I would expect to hear. I would hope. Obviously signing day is coming up in a couple of weeks. December 12th.
They've had a number of decommit.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna happen. People are acting surprised. I'm like, what are you guys surprised?
No,
like,
why would you be surprised?
This is it. Also, I'm not gonna get mad at the 3-star decommits, because that means we can go after someone in the portal. I'd rather get someone at the portal at this point than a 3-star high school kid. It's less risk that way. I'd rather have somebody that has college statistics than a 3-star kid with high school stats, if we're going to do one more year with Mike Norvell. So I'm not going to.
Well, we didn't say a full year. We said he would start the season.
Yeah, but I'm saying if we're going to start the season, I'd rather take a risk on some kid from college with stats than a kid from high school with high school stats. So yeah. So
it's been a long season. It's been a long season after what we thought, starting 3-0, beating Alabama to a pulp, and then 2 cupcakes, that we'd be rolling. No one, I don't think anyone in the fan base would think we wouldn't get to a Pop-Tart Bowl with at least 6 wins. I don't think Mike Norvell even thought that. I really don't. And that would have been, actually, if he would have beat either North Carolina State or the Gators and got some kind of bowl, that would have taken a little pressure off the program in that regard. And he would have shown some level of progress. I would have to say, you throw out the 2 softies, and that would make us 2 softies. We won 3 games. We beat Alabama. Okay, that's the huge nugget for the season. Who are the other 2 we beat? Wake Forest and Virginia Tech. Mm-hmm. You really beat nobody except Alabama.
Well, Wake Forest 8-3, so.
No, I know.
8-4.
They're Wake Forest. Okay, let's be realistic. They're Wake Forest. They're not a national power. They're not going to win a national championship ever, and that's the way it is. Okay, we beat one team this year worth talking about, and that's Alabama. That's sad. That's a pretty sad thing. I'm not happy about it. You're not happy about it. Everybody in here tonight's not happy about it. And it's going to be a long, interesting off season, especially if it's not very transparent. All right. And it's not transparent. We don't know how much people are paid. We don't get salaries on players. There's going to be a lot of discussion. It's going to be more of an active off season instead of taking the off season off. Okay. And you know what? For me, I went and watched the Noles basketball last night and trounced there by 40 points. And I don't blame our coach Luke Laux. He's had to throw a team together, and there'll be more losses. But it's been a long weekend for Florida State, except for girls soccer, for ladies soccer, who are doing real well and could win another national championship.
Yep,
absolutely. So that's the good news.
Absolutely. All right, I think that's it for me. Anything else you?
No, I mean, I don't have anything else. I'm not going to go note by note, possession by possession, but it was like we just couldn't get anything going in the first half and less in the second half. And it was the Gators show tonight. It was Jaden Bond, and he'll be an interesting guy to keep. I don't know if he'll come back. I'm not sure. I think he's just ready to move on, or he's going to enter the portal to see. But I think NFL wants a guy like this. This guy runs his ass off.
I think he has to play another year. I think he has to play another year.
I don't know. Well, the Gators the first call from the Gators' new coach looks like they've moved on from Lane Kiffin. I think Lane Kiffin ends up with LSU. I think that announcement will come tomorrow. Supposedly, he was asking them, if he takes LSU, can I still coach, if we make it to the playoffs? It looks like the way ESPN talks, there's going to be like 6 teams from the SEC in the damn playoffs. Jesus. I don't know how they're going to seed all of them in there and justify it. But that's going to be very interesting. And the ACC likely will just get one. I know Miami's trying to get in there. Right now, is Virginia winning there?
Virginia was winning.
Do we know who the other team will be in the ACC championship?
I mean, UVA is up 14.
Okay. Is it Georgia Tech? Are they in or out?
I mean, Georgia Tech lost to Georgia. That didn't help.
That's a non-conference. That doesn't affect them.
It could help at large bit. It could hurt.
No, I'm talking about for the ACC championship game. Is that Miami, Georgia Tech? Who
Miami
else?
6-2 because they beat Pittsburgh, so 6-2, 6-2, and they have the head-to-head.
It's like well, either way,
Duke won, so that helped them. I mean, there's a lot of scenarios that plays out. SMU's down right now. So if they won, they would be in. There could potentially be like a 4-way tie if SMU loses.
Wow. Interesting. The game is next Saturday. Saturday.
Yeah.
So very interesting.
Virginia's in if they win. SMU's in if they win. If they don't, it'll be a 4-way tie. So if both Virginia and SMU lose, it'll be a 4-way tie. But yeah, but Virginia should win. It looks like they will win. SMU's the one that could cause a wrench, and Miami's in if SMU loses this game. So from what I understand, so that's interesting. So that's the game really to watch right now because they're down.
Yeah. So last question here, and then we're going to close.
Actually, no. I think they would have the head-to-head. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. If SMU loses, they're 6-2, but I believe they have the head-to-head on Miami. So I think SMU would still be in.
Yeah, they beat Miami, right?
So maybe they have the head-to-head advantage. There's some.
I think this is more of a joke. What's your guys' opinion on the beach ball delay that caused the UF touchdown? Literally, it was so close till they got a free timeout to change a play. I remember the beach ball. I remember our guys popping the beach ball. I don't remember anything else. How about you, KB?
I mean, we couldn't stop the running game regardless of what happened in that game. So I really don't put much stock into it. So
yeah, well, I personally, I know you say no one will remember. I will remember this Jaden Ball guy. I will remember his name. and how he literally one-handed destroyed Florida State's defense tonight and made Lagway look like a pretty competent quarterback tonight. So, it was a good night.
I can't remember what happened last year.
We lost.
Well, exactly. I can't remember. I just know we lost. That's the only thing I remember. I can't remember what happened last year because, once again,
I think
these games are
No,
meaningless.
right.
They don't mean anything because we're not competing for anything.
Well,
if we were competing for things like playoff spots or anything like that, that makes these games memorable for me. Like I said, we can shit talk and we can say we beat you. I understand that thing. But
okay, well, that's
I
what you
understand
get
that.
down here.
I
That's what you
understand
get down here
Yes,
where I
understand
live.
that.
Is you get, hey, we beat you guys the last 10 years or whatever.
Yeah,
we
I
beat you
get
guys. And the road win thing for Mike now is horrendous.
Yeah.
It's like they haven't won a road game in 2 seasons.
Yeah.
You know, that's just weird. That's just wild, you know? So
yeah, it's bad. All right.
it's a shit season, and we're starting at the bottom rung, and we'll have to build, and we'll follow for you guys out there. We're going to stay on top of it. We'll have more discussions. We appreciate all you viewers. If you're not a subscriber to the family here, please just hit subscribe. Subscribe. That's the wrong word. They should never use subscribe. It should have been follow. Subscribe. Okay. People think they have to pay, but no, we don't sell premium stuff like some of the services. They don't really have any sources, so I don't know what the hell you're paying for. You want a source, look for Pete. Who is it? Pete Thamel on X. Some of these national guys, they break more stories than anybody else will. And so on. But we appreciate you guys. It's been a long season for everybody. We still believe we can get this program on track. I don't think Mike Norvell will be that guy, but he is for now. He is the man. And we'll see what he can put together in the mixing bowl, and we're going to get after it again, and we'll have a better idea going into the spring and who's on the roster in the spring. And that comes up pretty damn quick. And that's like March or April, right? That's like 4 months from now. They're going to be playing spring ball. So there'll be a lot of new names coming. So you can rip these rosters up and get ready for some changes.
Absolutely.
KB?
Sounds good. All right. Yep. Stick with us. Keep watching. We'll keep you updated as news comes out about Florida State coaching staff, new additions, transfer targets, stuff like that. So we'll try to have shows that are built around the latest news so that we can get you updated in case you're busy. So stay tuned. We'll have those. But yeah, season is over. We can all relax and hopefully have a peaceful December. But stick with us. Thanks for stopping by, guys. Have a great rest of your weekend. And as always, go Noles.
Go Noles. Go Noles. Guys.
Have a safe weekend, y'all.
Seminole sideline 365. Feel the roar, we're coming alive. Garnet and gold in the battle we thrive. This is our house where legends arrive. Every yard we take